India has in fact slammed Pakistan at the UNGA. Important information coming in. India has replied to the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, in fact, his speech at the UNGA. And India has clearly said that the message to the world is clear. India has zero tolerance for terrorism. Apart from this, India has also reiterated that Pakistan must shut down terror camps and has also said that Pakistan must hand over terrorists to India. Now, Pakistan sheltered Osama bin Laden is something that India has added. Important to understand that these comments come from Indian Diplomat Petal Gahlot, who has said that Pakistan is steeped in the tradition of deploying and exporting terrorism and has no shame in advancing the most ludicrous narrative. This is a drive taken by the Indian side on the Pakistan Prime Minister. In fact, this comes right after his speech. Now, India has raked up the issue of Osama bin Laden and has also talked about how Pakistan shields terror. Petal Gahlot further went on to say that the same Pakistan was one that shielded resistance front at the UNSC. Let's in fact go across and listen to what the diplomat had to say.
This assembly witnessed absurd theatrics in the morning from the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who once again glorified terrorism that is so central to their foreign policy. This is the very same Pakistan which, at the UN Security Council on 25th April 2025, shielded the resistance front, a Pakistani-sponsored terror outfit, from the responsibility of carrying out the barbaric massacre of tourists in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Let us recall that it sheltered Osama bin Laden for a decade, even while pretending to partner in the war against terrorism. The Pakistani Prime Minister has spoken about wanting peace with India. If he is indeed sincere, the pathway is clear. Pakistan must immediately shut down all terrorist camps and hand over to us terrorists wanted in India.
Right, thank you, my colleague Aditya, joining us on the telecast. Aditya, of course, there's a sharp drive that's been taken in by the Indian side on the Pakistani side. Now, this is not the first time. Earlier also we heard Indian diplomat Shehbaz Sharif, who had in fact taken a jibe at Pakistan. So, of course, help us understand the context in which these comments come from the Indian side.
Well, yes, that was a brilliant takedown by Indian diplomat at the UN General Assembly of Pakistan Prime Minister's absurd theatrics. That's how she described it. You're right, Reet, that just a few days ago, Indian diplomat Shehbaz Sharif spoke at the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, also exposing Pakistan, completely shattering their propaganda. And now Petal Gahlot, in this 4-minute speech at the UNGA, completely exposing Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, in fact, daring Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to act against terror. The pathway is really clear for them. They should completely dismantle all the terror groups and also hand over the terrorists, including, Masood Azhar and other terrorists of Lashkar-e-Toiba and Hizbul Mujahideen to India. Pakistan has had the lack of credibility when it comes to counter-terrorism. For a very long time, they have been sheltering terror groups, and Petal Gahlot highlighting also the Pahalgam terror attack that happened in April and how Pakistan was responsible for it. But India dared Pakistan through Operation Sindoor, and during Operation Sindoor, bodies of terrorists were completely dead, lying in a pool of blood in Bawalpur and different areas. And this is, a very, very accurate takedown of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, the state that continues to use terrorism as a foreign policy. So Petal Gahlot, highlighting with confidence, the way she spoke really highlighted how India is very confident, not just during Operation Sindoor, but during each and every time that Pakistan dares India, that Pakistan tries to infiltrate terrorists into India's Jammu and Kashmir, or provokes India through terrorism and such theatrics. So India is very much confident to tackle such menace. That was on display during Operation Sindoor, and Petal Gahlot completely not just highlighting but making it clear that India will not tolerate terrorism and India stands against Pakistan-sponsored terror.
Right, absolutely, Aditya. In fact, Petal Gahlot has called a spade a spade. She spelled it out absolutely correctly by saying that Pakistan's foreign policy, in fact, is terrorism, which is a perfect analysis that she's done there. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing those details with us. But wait one second. I also wish to understand from you, you've mentioned Kashmir and you also mentioned about how, the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said. Walk us through the comments that were made by him and the retaliation that came in from the Indian side.
Well, that's right. The Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif yesterday spoke at the UN General Assembly, and as was visible and as was expected, he continued on a propaganda wave against India, be it on Kashmir or even targeting the Modi government. He said that hate should not be tolerated, and for hate, he gave the so-called example of Hindutva. In fact, he wasn't able even to speak Hindutva. I mean, utter that particular word. Probably he didn't even know what that means. But clearly, he was not confident. His body language was not confident. He was reading from a script, and that was very much abundantly clear for the global audience because nobody was interested in Pakistan, Prime Minister's speech at the UNGA. And Reed, I'll take you back to what happened during the SCO as well, where Pakistan Prime Minister was completely isolated, that too, in an iron brother country. So Pakistan is used to use such global forums for their own propaganda and spreading disinformation, and that's what the Pakistan Prime Minister did against India and on Kashmir as well. And India very confidently, through a very young Indian diplomat Petal Gahlot, in a very resolute response, countering Pakistan's theatrics and propaganda and making it very amply clear that a country that is known for sheltering terrorists for years together, a country that had sheltered a terrorist like Osama bin Laden, will not be allowed to continue its terrorism path against India.
Then I also wish to understand from you, Kashmir was among the many topics that was discussed at, of course, the UNGA, but also something very important was the Pakistani Prime Minister's comments when it came to the Indus Water Treaty. He says that the treaty was put illegally under abeyance by the Indian side. He calls it unilateral, and he also calls it a violation of international law. Walk us through that.
That's right. The Pakistani Prime Minister, as was expected, used this opportunity to pander lies against India on the Indus Water Treaty. India was legally obligated to take that step because Pakistan for a very long time has violated, any kind of legal talks on the changes that should happen during Indus Water Treaty.
Right.
Because, more than 85% of the water was going to Pakistan and India was not getting the better of the bargain. So
Right.
India decided to put it into abeyance, and that is what the reality is. In Pakistan's lies, and Prime Minister of Pakistan continuously using propaganda on IWT, Kashmir,
Right,
and such
absolutely,
issues at the UN.
In fact,